With discussing what to do with the New York City subway, it is usually the big projects that get attention. For example, the 2nd Avenue Subway, or Queenslink, or Utica, or the IBX are projects that almost every rail fanner and planner sees as a priority. That is great and all, but sometimes we forget the small things we can do to improve the New York City subway. So I think it is a great idea to dedicate a video to talk about the small and often low priority things that the New York City subway can do that would do wonders for New York City transit. So how would I define low priority? Well, stuff I don't see a lot in rail fanning discussion. For example, Union Avenue, despite it being pretty small, is talked about constantly. Or some regional rail proposal on Metro North or Port Washington. While I agree with these projects, that is the stuff I omitted in this video, because it is popular and often a top priority. Also, I will limit the cost of each project to around $1 billion. After all, this video isn't about a grand Fifth Avenue trunk line. Though, if you want to see part 2 of this, where I only include the big stuff, let me know. Now, onto the first low priority thing that should be done. At Eldridge Lane in Linden Boulevard, there exists the Pink Houses, a huge housing project in East New York. There's also Linden Plaza, another huge apartment complex here. In this area, about 17,000 people live here, but this portion of East New York is not well served by transit. The closest stop is Grant Avenue on the A train, which is a hefty walk away from transit. So, what can we do here? Well, underneath Linden Plaza, there exists the Pitkin Yard. So, if we use the yard tracks for this extension and build a station on top of the yard, we can save a ton of money. This makes the project a no-brainer, and should be done. Though, something needs to be done with the C train frequencies in order for this extension to see any real value, as 10-minute waits during rush hour is not good. The De-interline doesn't need to be insanely radical to the point you have K trains. What I would do is to fix 59th Street, so that the A and C are on one track and the B and D are on another. B and D trains go express, A and C trains go local on Central Park West. After 50th Street, a new switch will divert A and C trains to the express track and will be kept on the same track through Cranberry. This is so that the A and C runs closer to 30 trains per hour, as opposed to the current 20 trains per hour. If you do that, you can get C trains to maybe run every 6, which is much better than every 10. When a train arrives at its terminal station, a number of procedures are taken. The conductor has to get off and manually check every train car for any remaining passengers. This procedure is called fumigation. While fumigation isn't a problem on double-track terminals, it is a problem on single-track terminals like Forest Hills and Church Avenue. Since there's only one track to use, that fumigation process delays trains that it cuts into capacity. Forest Hills, for example, can only turn around 20 trains per hour. What is worse is that fumigation is unique to New York. In Beijing, where most terminals are built with this exact setup, they are able to turn 30 trains per hour. In Moscow, where again, most terminals are built with this exact setup, they are able to turn 39 trains per hour. And New York knows this because they invented this terminal design. The IND built these terminals in the hopes that it can turn around 34 trains per hour, and it did so before grade timers and fumigation were a thing. That is where fumigation reform comes in handy. Fumigation reform is when conductors no longer check every train car when arriving at a terminal station. Instead, after the terminal station, they immediately close the doors and go down to the layup tracks to turn around. With this, Forest Hills can turn 30 trains per hour, which means the G can come back to Forest Hills, or more M&R trains can be run. Since census data shows QBO local riders prefer Manhattan-bound services, I prefer expanded M&R train service. As Williamsburg continues to gentrify, the L train will continue to get overcrowded. TEL tracks should be built after 8th Avenue so that L trains can run more than 24 trains per hour. But 8th Avenue is one part of the equation, as Rockaway Parkway is also a bumper terminal. But unlike 8th Avenue, Rockaway Parkway is at grade, so have fun trying to extend the TEL tracks here. With fumigation reform, it is possible to short-turn trains at Myrtle Avenue without impacting service. But as development continues to march eastward into Broadway Junction, capacity is needed past Myrtle Avenue. Although Atlantic Avenue only has 2 tracks, it used to have 6 tracks and 3 island platforms. The remnants of those tracks are there. so it is possible to reconfigure those trackways and open a second platform to help short-term L trains. By doing this, it is also possible to remove some of the old trackways to allow more sunlight onto the streets below. De-interlining the Kolb is relatively painless. After all, 6th Avenue and Broadway run within one block of one another in the city center, which means what interlining are you defending? Okay, maybe that 6th Avenue connection to 8th Avenue at West 4th Street, but Broadway also runs within one block of 8th Avenue. So there really is no insane one-seat ride loss that interlining advocates will have you believe. So with this change, you can run more N trains, which will come in handy as Astoria continues to gentrify. However, the terminal of Astoria, Ditmars, can only handle 15 trains per hour. The reason why is because the switches are placed way too far from that station. By reconfiguring the switch, Astoria can run up to 24 trains per hour. Or by adding switches before Astoria Boulevard and short-turning some trains there, Astoria can handle 27 trains per hour, as a single track can turn 12 trains per hour. But even if you don't de-interline the Kolb, reconfiguring switches still allows trains to enter the terminal faster. Even with this reduced capacity, Ditmars struggles to keep up. This helps save time and increase reliability along the N and W trains. The New York City subway is full of sharp curves, especially on pre-dual contract lines. White Plains is no different, as there are a number of sharp curves that reduce speed and reliability of trains. One of them is the curve right after East Tremont Avenue. And to give you a sense of how sharp the curve is, 5 trains slow down right after 174th Street, so that there is enough time to deaccelerate once trains get to East Tremont Avenue. This is why, despite the 5 skipping 7 stops on White Plains, you save a total of 3 minutes. That is because the average speed is 16.5 miles per hour. For reference, the A train's average speed between 59th and 125th is 28 miles per hour. That is almost twice as fast, and clearly, we can do better. If we straighten this curve, this means that trains can speed through this area, which can shave down at least 2 to 3 minutes of runtime. And although you have to take some private property, what you take is a tire shop and a parking lot. Now, as for the actual construction, the new elevated viaduct with the new station will be built first, separate from the existing tracks. Then, over the course of a week, the elevated structure will be connected to the new viaduct. The MTA has replaced and straightened tracks. Just look at what has happened on the L train in 2003, or what happened to the Atlantic branch in the 2010s. We all like to dream about what the subways can look like, and to do so, we design these grand systems and networks. That is great and all, but sometimes we forget the small things that we can do, like extending C-train service down to Linden Boulevard or upgrading Atlantic Avenue so that the L train can fully take advantage of CBTC and run 33 trains per hour. I believe that those things are necessary and should be done concurrently while we expand the system. And this also serves as a lesson to planning for the future. In too many cases, the MTA cheaps out on large projects for an easier win. This is seen when 2nd Avenue is not designed with even provisions for 4 tracks, or when the IBX is designed with street running, horrible transfers, and light rail. If the MTA wants an easy win, then doing these projects is perfect for that. And with that, this marks the end of this video. What are your thoughts on these projects? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.